when you're tired of living.
The Royal Regiment of Scotland is the senior line infantry regiment and the only Scottish line infantry regiment of the British Army. Formed in 2006, it was founded on the fighting heritage of historic Scottish infantry regiments. Over the last 12 years, the regiment has deployed to almost every theatre of operations the British Army's been involved in, from Iraq to Afghanistan to Sierra Leone and the UN tour in Cyprus, with 14 gallantry medals awarded. Unfortunately, there have been occasions where serving soldiers, veterans and immediate families have found themselves in need of additional welfare and benevolent support due to injury, illness or in times of hardship. Although the regiment has its own registered Scottish charity, funds are generated by the contributions of serving members, meaning they can be limited, with the regiment relying heavily on the larger service charities. The regiment wants to be better placed to provide support to its own. Please take time to listen to 4 people who've agreed to tell their story, a story of despair through recovery to a positive outlook for the future, all due to the help from the Regimental Trust. Despite their difficult personal journeys, there remains a sense of regimental pride in each of them, a pride developed through membership of the Royal Regiment of Scotland and the support received.
When you're tired of living.
Lance Corporal Sean Wiseman, 2nd Battalion, the Royal Regiment of Scotland, 2 Scots. Sean is still serving with 2 Scots, despite having his leg amputated in 2009, a consequence of an improvised explosive device in Afghanistan.
The week of my 18th birthday, we had a normal week initially to start, and it was straight into pre-deployment training for us deploying to Afghan later on that year. We then deployed, I think, September 2010. I've been blown up twice in December. The first one I was in a vehicle, so I got a couple of cuts, some shrapnel wounds, but nothing major. And then 6 days later I was out on a foot patrol. I then got blown up again. This time it done more damage, left quite a big hole in my leg, destroyed my right foot, and I was missing a complete full bone out my shin, so I had one bone left and that was badly snapped and broken. They'd given me the option, we can spend 2.5 years to rebuild it or you can have it off, and I made this decision to have it off straight away. I then got my first prosthetic leg, so it was good to have that freedom and not back to normality, but having that ability to be up and walking about independent. June or July 2012, I had a medical board and I'd asked and fought to get back to the battalion. So I had full support of the battalion and obviously the regimental headquarters as well, or association, to help me get back because I wanted to. Worked in the sergeants and warrant officers mess for about a year, and then got moved over to the tailor shop, and I've been in there ever since. So near enough every year I've been given the option. I either get medically discharged or I stay in, but they always said staying in was the harder one. And then last year I was given the chance to do a junior NCO cadre, and that went all the way up to the top, talking to all sorts, but I had full backing of the regiment, once again the association, and they supported me along with other people from all aspects of the military, supported me, went on it, passed it, come off it, then promoted a few months later. If the association never helped me, then I'd probably still be trying to find someone to either take me through my test and through the lessons, and also funding it was obviously another big part. If it wasn't for them, I'd probably not be driving by now. Last year I got diagnosed with PTSD, so me staying in and obviously the help that the association provides in the battalion, it gives you a reason to get up in the morning. The driving, I've just went and done another course, which I never thought I would go and do, but it gives me that freedom. You can now go on that course, you can now deploy, and you've got the support. As long as you put into it, you put in it that you want to be there and you show them that you want to be there, they'll back you 100%. They're sort of restricted funding wise, So they can only help us so much as they can, and they are trying extremely hard to help as much, but they're once again restricted with funding and how much they can get further help for people, regardless if it's seeing another doctor, if it's someone struggling with, they need to go and buy new prosthetics or adaptions or wheelchairs. Yeah, they want to help as much as they can, but there's only so much they can do financially because they are supporting 7 battalions.
There'll be an angel on your shoulder now, telling you that you're wrong.
Private Lewis Sterling, 3rd Battalion, the Royal Regiment of Scotland, 3 Scots. Lewis suffered a severe back injury during a skiing exercise in France.
I got offered an opportunity to go on an exercise called Foster Blade, which was a skiing exercise in France, in Val d'Isère. I was delighted to go ahead and try that. It was meant to be for 3 months, I'm sure it was. I got about a month in. I ended up, we were doing training for slalom racing. Threw myself in the air by hitting one of the ruts because I got blinded by the sun, and I woke up in a helicopter on the way to a French hospital. I was dazed, as you would expect it would be. I was strapped in that tight. I didn't know at that point in time if I could walk. I was lucky once I actually got to the hospital that I got unloosened and I could feel my toes, and I knew that I could actually still walk. It's a blur for the time of the injury to actually being in hospital, but it's a scary, scary situation how quick things can turn. I fractured my L1 and L5 vertebrae in my lower back and fractured my wrist. I never got operated on my back. I just got a brace to be put in for 6 months. I had to keep it on constant for free. That was washing, sleeping in. It was horrific, but it was good because I never needed to get an operation on my back. And I got a plate put in my right wrist, and that's permanent now. As I was going through my recovery when I got sent back for France, it took a good while for me to get back on my feet and get back to normality in a way. And I got assigned a PRO. I spent a good period of 8 months, 9 months sitting about the house, falling into a hole, a rut. She got me out, back onto activities, got me back into learning. Once I went through the process of that, I found out that I was getting military discharged. It's getting told you can't do something what you still want to do. It's hard to turn your back and walk away from it when it's not your choice. I was looking at promoting as soon as I came back from France, going on the promotion course. So that was looking to be my career finally starting. Obviously an injury's an accident, it's no one's fault, can't blame anyone. It's just unfortunate that my career came to an end like that. It was a bit bobbling at first, but then I realised how much help was actually out there. When I decided that I wanted to take the career path of being a gas engineer, I needed help with funding. I didn't know that it was actually possible to get as much help as I got. Without the funding from the Regimental Trust, I think I would be in a lot more financial difficulty with just taking on a mortgage and starting a family with my fiancée. I feel like the help I've been given has pointed me in the right direction. It's helped me look to the future and actually have a plan instead of being scared about the future and wondering what's going to happen. It's made us relax a bit more. We feel like we've got more of a plan, going from having a stable, good job to then getting told you're getting medically discharged, to then going into not knowing what you're doing, to then going, instead of falling back into a dead-end job, to then get the opportunity given to you to go into another career, what could be a lifelong career. I feel like it's brought me back to myself. It's given me the opportunity to get back to normality and give me the opportunities to start doing other things instead of just sitting in my house and feeling sorry for myself. If there was more funding available, which would be amazing, but you can't be ungrateful for what you've already got.
Let her wrap you up in its loving arms.
Keith Dalton, Balaclava Company, 5th Battalion, the Royal Regiment of Scotland, 5 Scots. Formerly Argyll and Sutherland Highlanders Battalion. Keith was medically downgraded following a heat injury and then made redundant as part of the Army redundancy programme. As a veteran, Keith then fell on hard times, resulting in him becoming homeless. But with the support of the Regimental Trust, he is now facing a more positive future.
When you go out and patrol, you're wearing a full Kevlar back and front body armour, and it's quite heavy, you know. So even though it's on your shoulders, it's meant to balance out. But with a backpack on, and you're probably going in the excess of about 75 kilograms maybe, or you know, it's quite heavy. Plus the rifle, yeah, you're not getting a lot of sort of air coming in to the body armour, which meant that the core was heating up dramatically. So what they would do is do patrol for about 2 or 3 miles. You'd stop, and then you take a breather, get some water, do another 2 or 3 miles, and then that continued on right over a 10-mile period. And then when I get back into camp, I was feeling a bit worse for wear. But at that point, we got asked to go out to that camp in Barrackside and pick up a vehicle. And you're talking about maybe a 5-6 mile trip from that camp to Fob Keenan. And with the heat inside the vehicle as well, you were doing a thing called top cover, which you're doing observation checks 360 degrees to make sure nobody's going to attack the vehicle. You weren't allowed to leave the vehicle unless you'd done a thing called an op bomber to check that there was no mines. So I got back into the vehicle, went back, and then as soon as I got out the vehicle, I collapsed because of the sheer heat, and that's when I get evacuated back to Camp Bastion. I remember waking up in a bath full of ice. I had 2 weeks leave, and then I went back to normal duties after that. I got made redundant in 2015. And from then on, I was finding it difficult to sort of adjust to civilian life. And I stayed in the streets for 2 weeks, and it was nearly getting stabbed. You know, druggies coming up to you, you know, wanting to fight you all the time. And I got involved with the Scottish Veterans Residence. And I spent 3 months there, getting help with post-traumatic stress and anxiety to try and help me adjust into civilian life. But it's been a hard slog, and I got in contact with the Royal Regiment of Scotland to acquire some funds to do some maybe to go towards a course or a job, and because I had been driving, but had previous experience in driving, they decided to give me some funding through the Royal Regiment of Scotland, which was, I ended up getting my CPC tachograph card and HGV1 qualification. It's opened up a lot of doors, especially with the driving side of it, and it can go on my CV to prove that I'm capable of learning and I'm capable of moving on. I was a bit sort of nervous about asking for help. Not everybody's got a pile of a big pot at the end of the rainbow. You've got to basically sort of bide your time with it and don't just take them for everything they've got. If I never had the support, I think I'd be literally on the streets.
You've gone and lost all your trust in me.
Private Paul Lambert, 1st Battalion, the Royal Regiment of Scotland, 1 Scots. Paul was severely injured whilst deployed on Operation Herrick in Afghanistan. On the 29th of November 2009, Paul was part of a patrol that was subjected to an improvised explosive device, resulting in him sustaining severe injuries to his legs, both of which were subsequently amputated.
We had been out on patrol with the Tiger Team, which was the Afghan National Army's special forces, and we were all tasked to go out and talk to 3 mullahs. We were out on a patrol to it, so the ANA had went in to talk to the mullahs. We were on a different compound, just looking over Overwatch and whatnot, and I was sitting eating my breakfast, cold breakfast. It wasn't very nice. And sitting at the bottom of the ladder, and my section commander told me to get up the ladder, and I was not impressed because I just wanted to sit, have my cigarette and my breakfast at the same time. But I remember being told, go up that ladder. So I had wee Hayworth coming down the ladder. I put my left leg just outside the ladder to stop it actually shaking, and that's when I set off the IED. So I remember the flash. I remember like getting punched in the gut and then flying through the air. And then I remember landing, and I was like, yeah, it's going to be pretty sore. But I remember like flexing my fingers, my hands. I thought, not that bad, I'm all right. Until I seen the gap in my hand. And that's when I thought it's going to be a pretty bad day. And that's when everything kicked off again, training-wise. I remember shouting on my mate. People knew what to do. Again, because of the training, it was just constant. So you just done what you had to do. The wee medic out with us, wee Helen, just switched on, and that was her all over me. She knew what to do, telling the boys what to do. And that's when the CASEVAC drills and whatnot kicked in. So the MERT was called, that's like the medical helicopter. And I think it took 26 minutes from me being injured to me being in the back of that helicopter. So yeah, I went back to Bastion, and that's when my injuries became really apparent. So I had lost my left leg from my hip. I had lost my right leg above the knee. I had shrapnel wounds up through my groin and whatnot. It had my liver damaged, kidney damaged, lung damaged. Everything pretty much on my right side. The blaster came up through. I had my left lung was working, and that was literally about it. The rest of it was just shrapnel damaged. I had my entire left forearm again was just skinned, so the blast actually took the whole muscle and whatnot clean off. But again, it was just medical staff within Bastion were absolutely cracking. They knew what to do. They were even in the back of the helicopter, cut off my chest, and actually took my heart out and manually pumped it until I got back to Bastion. I even heard that the medical team in Bastion was the best in the world. So you had a bunch of Americans, Canadians, just like NATO forces, just all working with each other to save my life, which again was quite humbling. So after that, I spent about a week, 5 days there, and then came back to Birmingham. It was the old Selly Oak Hospital at the time. And again, it was just keeping me alive long enough to actually, my body to heal, to actually, start working again. It was quite difficult at first, because I wasn't truly convinced I was there. I mean, the morphine that had been pumped into me, I remember sort of half being there, but not really understanding what was going on. But it is quite humbling going through that. But yeah, like at the end of the day, I'm still here. So I couldn't get into my house when I first moved in because I didn't have a ramp. It was a simple thing like that. I had to actually try and bump up. So again, with the charity and whatnot, the charities got involved to help put a ramp in the front of my house. And I was really fortunate with my house being totally adapted, but I know that it's always there. If I ever wanted to move house, I have no doubt the regimental charities would be on it, helping with things. I think it's the fact that I know it's always there, so I don't need to worry about things. And it's a big weight off my shoulders knowing that the regimental charity is there to help guys like myself who have been injured, who just need a little bit extra help. It's one less problem we have that somebody else can actually solve for us. When I got injured, I was aware of it. I knew I got injured. I knew I was getting CASEVAC'd. Whereas some boys, they're on patrol 1 minute and the next minute they're in hospital and don't understand that. They can't put it in context. So again, for them, they know that the charity is there, and I think it's just that little bit easier to help get through their day. When guys are injured, especially now, mental health side of things, guys are all over each other to help each other now. But the families, I think, are sometimes forgotten about. I mean, me and Gillian had plans that obviously changed in an instant, But there's guys out there who've got kids who want to play football with their kids, but they can't because they've got no legs. So the kids are going to need support as well. And again, the charities would be there to help the families. They do rely on the goodness of strangers to help. So funding's always needed. And the more funding there is, the more help that can be given to guys who really need it, who really need that emotional support, who really need that financial support. There's never enough money. It's all about having more money to get more people to help more people.
Let her wrap you up in his loving arms. Let the sun waft you home, my love. Walk you back home.